What's up, everybody? Mr. S here with a lesson on the elements of art. So the elements of art, we're going to start with line. You can see we have a straight line, a zigzag, a curved line, a dashed line, a dotted line. We can go on here, a vertical, diagonal, a spiral, a line that makes a shape, a thick line, and kind of a loop-de-loop kind of line, and I'm sure there's much more. The next element of art we're going to talk about is shape, and I know you know the basic shape, so let's see. We're going to draw a square, a triangle, a circle, a rectangle, a star, a pentagon, a hexagon, so 5 sides, then 6 sides, an octagon, which has 8 sides. We have a rhombus, a trapezoid, and down there we kind of have an organic or a free-form shape, kind of like a random shape. Next element of art we have is color. Now I know you guys know this, Roy G. Biv, the rainbow order. We have red, we have orange, we have yellow coming up. If I can grab my pen in time, there it is, okay. My voiceover is going faster than my hands on the video. There's green. There's blue. Isn't it just satisfying to draw all the colors? Next we have indigo, or at least the closest pen that I could find to indigo. There it is. And lastly we have violet. So there's all the colors, and obviously all the colors in between. Next we have value. This one I'm going to use a pencil. Value is basically the lights and darks of a drawing or a painting. So it's easy to illustrate that with a pencil. I'm going to start light and I'm going to slowly press harder until I get a very, very dark pencil on my paper. So yep, there's the light side, there's the dark side. So that's kind of a value scale. And you can do this with color too. Yellow is a lighter value, purple is a darker one. Next we have form. This one's kind of tricky. This is basically anything that's 3D. So right now I'm drawing 3D forms. There's a cube, there's a sphere. You kind of have to shade the sphere to show that it's a 3D. Now you can also have sculptures. Sculptures are obviously 3D, and those are forms. So if we ever build with clay, those are going to be forms. There is a 3D pyramid, and there's a cylinder. And let's see, I'm going to attempt a star here again, even though I don't think I'm very good at drawing stars. And then we're going to make that 3D. There we go. So those are forms. The next element we have is texture. Now you'll see a little bit later on how I'm going to utilize texture, but right now I'm just going to make a list. We can have smooth textures, bumpy textures, rough, slippery, and the list goes on and on and on. Obviously, a countertop at your house would be smooth, and tree bark on a tree would be very rough. So those are some different textures. Next one we have is space. This one's sort of difficult sometimes. There's a few different ways we can talk about space. This first one is called depth of space. I can draw a picture here of a road and a couple of different stop signs, and you can see they go off into the distance. So this is called depth. Okay, so I'm showing depth of space by showing that those stop signs in that road get further and further away from me. I'm kind of creating my own environment. The next one we have is called positive and negative space. So I'm illustrating that here by drawing just a simple circle, and then it's shaded on half of it, and then not on the other, and vice versa. The background is shaded on half and not the other. Now the positive space is the shaded part, and the negative is the non-shaded part. This is easier to show on this next one I'll draw for you here, and I'm just going to draw a simple silhouette of a tree. A silhouette basically means you're only seeing the shadow. So if I draw a silhouette of a tree and a cloud, those filled in parts, the tree and the clouds, are the positive space. Those are the things we want to pay attention to, and the white of the background is the negative space. Still important to have in the drawing, but not as important as the subjects we're looking at. And lastly, we can show space by how closely or how far apart we're putting things in our drawing or painting. So if I draw a design with a bunch of circles, if I draw them really closely and compact together, I'm using a lot of space. There's not a whole lot of negative space going on. And then conversely, on the other side, I have just a little bit going on, just a few circles, and I'm using less space. So now let's see if I can do a drawing using all of the elements of art. So I'm going to list them again for myself. And then we'll see if we can draw something that uses all 7 elements of art. Might be tricky. Let's see. After some thought, I decided that my picture was going to be a kraken or a squid attacking a ship of some kind. So I started with some waves. Obviously, I'm using line there. I'm using a thicker line to do the outline of the ship. Doing some shapes right here for the windows of the ship. So right there, I've already knocked out 2 of the elements of art, but I'll of course use them later on also. Let's see, next we have 2 vertical thicker lines. I'm going to use those for the mast. A couple triangle shapes for the mast. There we go. Okay, here comes the kraken. A thicker green line, kind of a wavy line for the tentacles. Kind of going behind and in front of the ship. All right, and now we're using value because I'm going to color in the windows some lighter and some darker. Now remember, value also works for colors. So anywhere I might use a yellow and anywhere I might use a purple, those are very different values in terms of color. A yellow is very light and a purple is very dark. Finishing up the windows. So far we've got line, we've got shape, we've got value, we've got color. So let's see if we can get form, space, and texture before this drawing is over. So we're coloring in the water and then also the kraken. That's just a fun word to say, kraken. All right, that's colored in. Okay, here we go. We got some loop-de-loop lines for some clouds. Coloring those in gray a little bit. Okay, we've got rain coming down. This is going to be a stormy scene, I think. So some diagonal dashed lines for the rain. It always looks more menacing if your rain can be diagonal because it makes it look like it's windy. Now for this one, I put a texture plate underneath the drawing while I color in the ship. So that's going to give it the texture. So that only leaves space and form left for me to try and accomplish during this drawing. Texture plates work really well with crayons. Not that they don't work with other things, but crayons seem to be the most fun one in my opinion. So doing that again up here for the sails. I thought red was a good color. If you have different texture plates, you could use all sorts of different ones. I just had this one to use right now. It's not complete without lightning, so here we go. We got some zigzag lines for some lightning. And then I'll color those in yellow here in a second. Got a good mix of colors. We have red, yellow, and blue, all 3 primaries. We have green, which is a secondary color, and we have some brown, which is a neutral color. A few more clouds. Now this is how I'm accomplishing the space. So by putting some medium and some smaller clouds in there, I'm making it look like they go back into the distance, which is giving this more of an environment to be in instead of seeming flat. So that is how we took care of the element space. Coloring in the sky just a little bit, not a ton. There's some more value on the clouds because I'm making them darker in some spots. Now the last element I have is form. Now I kind of sat with this one for a little bit to try and figure out how to do that one. So that must be why I'm drawing a cargo net, because I can't figure out the form yet. It actually looks more like a spider web, but just go with it. It's a cargo net. Unless there's a really big spider on board. Okay, so to accomplish form, I decided this is going to be a ship that was delivering something, so I'm drawing a bunch of boxes. So I'm trying to draw some 3D cubes to accomplish the last element of art, form. So we're drawing those in the middle of the ship, kind of angled all sorts of different ways, kind of like they were just thrown on there. And then we're going to color those in with a brown. And then I'm going to color the sides of them a little bit darker than the fronts of them, and that's just going to help make them look like light is hitting them more on one side than the other. It kind of adds to the 3D part of it. And after that, I believe we have our drawing. So let's go through the checklist. We have line, we have color, we have shape, we have form, value, space, and texture. And that's all of them. Thanks for watching.